India recently celebrated its 78th Independence Day, but women in India are yet to celebrate their freedom. Freedom from physical abuse, freedom from sexual assault, and freedom from domestic violence. Women are not safe, neither on roads, nor at home, or at workplace. Hello and welcome, and today we are here to discuss the larger issue of women's safety. The Kolkata murder and rape case has actually sent ripples across the country because of its gruesomeness. And this brings us back to the question that are there existing mechanisms to tackle this menace, ma'am?
Yes, there are various mechanisms which are existent in the country. So, I'll begin with the very outset of the initiatives. In 1992, when the Bhavri Devi gang rape case happened, so that led to Supreme Court showing the spirit of the judicial activism, and it laid down the Vishakha guidelines. So these Vishakha guidelines, they were binding on all the organizations until the time a statutory law was brought into force. Thereafter, the National Commission for Women, it showed proactiveness, ensuring that the women's rights and the women's safety is taken into account on a serious level. So it presented the codes of conduct for the workplaces for the women's safety 5 times between 2000 to 2010. So after that, we also saw that in between a serious case, the Nirbhaya case took place. And to some extent, that gave a further push, nudging the parliament, nudging the central government of India to actually come up with a specific law, a comprehensive law dealing with this matter. And so now we do have the Sexual Harassment at Workplace, the Prevention, Prohibition and Redressal Act, the POSH Act. So it lays down certain provisions. First of all, the organizations, be it private sector or the public sector, if they are employing more than 10 workers, they are mandated to establish the internal complaints committees, and this should be headed by a woman. It should also have a member from any local NGO. So these committees should be there, they should be functional also, and if some organization has violated, not set up these, then they have to pay a fine, a penalty amount of about 50,000 rupees. Yeah. Apart from that, we also have for the informal sector where most of the women, 80% of the women are employed. So there is this provision for the local committees that are to be established at the district level. So that is for the women, those women who are working in these sectors where less than 10 employees are there. And they can approach these local committees and file their grievance, their complaint against the perpetrator. And accordingly, the authorities have to take the cognizance and the further action. So
ma'am, you said that there is a mechanism of penalty.
Yes.
So the amount is just 50,000, right, in case of violation.
Yes.
So don't you think that, given the gravity of the crime and the situation, this amount is too less?
Yes, definitely. The penalty amount, it should be hiked.
Right.
Because any penalty amount, that will also act as a deterrence.
Right.
So taking that into account, the penalty should be increased. And most serious concern here that I would like to raise is regarding the non-compliance with the provisions of the Act.
Right.
We have the mechanisms in place, but the compliance is very weak.
So they are on just paper.
They are existing only on paper, or many organizations, even if they have established, the awareness is lacking among the female employees.
Right.
They don't even know that such mechanisms are there in their organizations. If they are facing any kind of sexual abuse or any kind of sexual harassment, they have that accountability measures. So when that is lacking, so I think it is all ineffective. And taking this into account, in May 2023, the Supreme Court of India, it has directed all the state governments and the union territories that they have to verify that all the public sector organizations and the private sector organizations have established the internal complaints committees, and also at the district level local committees have been established. So these organizations have to furnish these details on their websites.
Okay.
And a time period of about 8 weeks was given. Some of the firms, they have complied, whereas just like the usual case in India, the compliance, the progress has been very tardy.
Okay. So ma'am, you also highlighted one point that the Vishakha guidelines, they were a result of judicial activism. So doesn't it reflect the government apathy? Like the government has not shown any kind of proactiveness in this space.
Yes, the government's Central Act regarding this came into existence only when another brutal case, the Nirbhaya case, took place in 2012, and there was this public outcry regarding that. Only after that government actually thought of coming up with such act. And one of the concerns has been that the political apathy is there because the lawmakers who are themselves sometimes found engaged in such kinds of the acts. A recent report by the ADR is that 151 MPs and MLAs, the sitting MPs and MLAs, they have the charges of the crimes against women. Okay. So this has been a weak spot.
Exactly. So this is something like when we can't expect justice from the perpetrators themselves, right?
Yes ma'am, true. And apart from that, on the ground level, those who are responsible for the implementation, they are also to blame. And also, most importantly, the criminal justice system that hinges on the evidence in India.
Right.
And the women, if they are the victims of this sexual harassment, often the crime, the witness is harassed or the victim is harassed, the family is harassed, there are threats against them. So often they are reluctant to file the complaints also. So often there is under-reporting also of the crimes.
Yes, this also brings me to the point that there was a report that on an average in a day in India, about 90 rape cases are reported. So these cases are reported. This means that there are so many cases which go unreported. So this is just the tip of the iceberg, right?
Yes, ma'am. The underreporting of any sort of crime in India, and here we are talking in context of the rapes, the sexual offences against the women. So, which is a grave concern. Okay. So, there are complex, a multitude set of the factors at the play which are responsible for the underreporting. Like I have highlighted earlier, first is the reluctance of the victim herself, thinking that her family will be threatened or her life will be at stake. And in most of the instances, we can see that now, after being raped, the victim is murdered or blackmailed. Okay. Then there is this fear of the stigma which is attached to the victim. There is also the victim blaming syndrome, the misogynist attitude in our society. So that deters a person from complaining, from filing a complaint in such cases. And also in the workplaces, if a woman faces any kind of physical abuse or any kind of sexual harassment, she is reluctant to file the complaint. Also because she fears the reprisal, the demotion she might face in some instances if evidence is not clear. So she has to resign. She's forced to resign. So these are the complex factors which prevent a woman being the victim of such physical abuse, also such mental abuse. She does not come forward to file the complaints. There is lack of awareness also. Often women, they do not even know about the mechanisms that are in place for her safety.
Right, because this highlights the issue of the deterrence, because there is lack of deterrence. Because there was in April 2024 in Unnao, what happened was when the perpetrator got bail, he actually murdered the mother of the victim. So this shows that they are of the mind that they can easily get away with this, right? So this shows the lack of deterrence.
Yes, ma'am. There is very weak deterrent system in our India, and apparently the conviction rate that is as low as 30%, as opposed to the countries like UK, where the conviction rate in such cases is as high as 60%.
Okay.
Yes, so that also highlights the unwillingness on the part of the police administration also. There are botched investigations.
Right.
So there are complex factors that further complicate such matters, and the justice is never met out to the women. Most importantly, there is this cultural issue also, the societal mindset.
Because
Women
often
are-
the victim is blamed, like she must have been wearing some revealing clothes and all. So the entire blame is put on the victim.
And yes, and that has a very deep impact on the psychological health of the
Right.
victim. Apart from the physical abuse she is facing, she has to undergo she has to undergo the mental stress.
Right, right.
And apart from that, in our society, such women, they're not accepted also.
Right.
They'll be refused. They won't get married easily. So there are so many factors. These all result into underreporting, like we highlighted earlier. And most importantly, the society at large in India is responsible.
Because there is objectification, exactly, objectification of women. If we talk about the media or the advertisement, or particularly the Bollywood, the kind of videos they make in which the woman is being objectified. So this creates a mental construct in the man of the society, or the boys who are being raised. So they imbibe those values, right?
True. Yes, it is true. Whatever we observe in our surroundings, we are being the humans, we are bound to imitate.
Exactly.
So whatever, now we are having the digital presence at a huge level, and whatever kind of videos we are watching, going through the Instagram, the social media, that directly impacts the psyche of the person. So also the kind of the movies that are shown nowadays, that are being made, where such crimes, in some cases, they are also...
Even in Bollywood movies, like there was one movie recently which became hugely popular. Its name was Animal, right?
There is also this issue of the impressions on the mindset of the public, the audience. They're getting from the kind of the movies they're watching. Recently, a movie was released in which the actors' animal-like behavior, the name of the movie
itself was Animal, right?
So if these kinds of movies, they are praised,
right?
So what kind of values we are imbibing? So that is a big question for a country like India.
So this movie, I remember, this actually glorified the toxic masculinity, right?
Yes. So such kind of the social media presence, or the media presence, that impacts us in everyday life, that needs to be regulated, because it will directly impact the society. And at large, because it is the women, they are physically considered weaker to men, and that is why men being stronger, they tend to overpower them. So these rapes, the sexual harassment, often they try to, it is seen as an act of superiority.
Right.
Okay. And recently, the instance of the Malayalam film industry,
Right.
the K-Hima panel, it has highlighted that the women actors, they are threatened the bans from the entire film industry if they refuse to accept the sexual favors in exchange of the opportunities. So this is it is perpetuating across all the kinds of sectors. It's not just restricted to the film industry. It's happening in every kind of industry.
So this actually highlights the power dynamics, that the men who are in the position of power, they actually abuse their position to extract sexual favors, right? Because this was also highlighted in the Me Too movement.
Yes, ma'am.
And this actually showed that how social media can be used to actually facilitate the kind of justice which we actually want.
Yes, ma'am, it's true. These popular moments, they are necessary to bring the changes in the mindset of the society, and also to seek the justice, which is otherwise not possible. So Apart from that, I think it is very significant to leverage the technology.
Right.
Okay, there are many apps, the mobile applications which are meant to ensure the safety of the women. So some of these apps, the Suraksha app, through that Suraksha app you can send the distress signals and the location in such cases to the police in case of the emergency also. Even the Uber services, the Ola services, they are expected, they are mandated that they should ensure such kind of facilities to ensure the safety of the women travelers. So there are various kinds of the mobile applications also, and the websites also through which complaints can be lodged. For example, the She Portal. She Portal was launched by the Ministry of Women and Child Development itself in 2017, so as to ensure that women have the access online to register their complaints no matter where they are in the country. Whether they are working or not, they can file their complaints through that portal. And it has been effective also. According to the National Commission of Women's 2023 data, through this portal itself, more than 700 cases of the sexual harassment, of the rapes, the physical abuse against the women have been filed, and it also shows that further actions are being facilitated.
Okay. But ma'am, somehow I feel that there is lack of awareness about all these apps.
Yes, that is a big issue here, that we have so many mechanisms, so many provisions in the law also and even otherwise to ensure the safety. The weaker point is the implementation. The implementation as well as the awareness factor. So here the role of the NGOs, the role of social media, that becomes very imperative. Yes, civil society has to be it has to be on the forefront. It has to show that kind of proactiveness, and it has to supplement the efforts of the government, because government alone cannot do everything. Okay. And we are living in the era of technology, and recently I came across one of the horrific virtual rape incidents which was reported in United Kingdom. So here the avatar of the woman, she was raped virtually by the men avatars. So in digital space also, women are not safe. We do come across the instances of cyberbullying, the misuse of the deep fakes, the morphed images of the women who are targeted. So they are all acting as the mechanisms where such kind of men with such kind of the psyche, they have been misusing the technology also to harm the women. So that is also a bigger issue, and the government has to take into account the safety of the women not only in the public and the private sphere, also in the digital space. So futuristic laws and accordingly the tweaking the penalties which need to be hiked, that should be done.
So in any case, I think it has come to the fore that women become easy targets for anything, right? Whether it's the social media or at the workplace or at home or anywhere.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
True. Yes, that is true, ma'am, and that is why it is very necessary that there should be societal change. There should be the active participation of the civil society. There needs to be effective implementation all the mechanisms which government has in place, all the laws. If there is strong deterrence, then certainly it will help in curbing these instances. We do have the pink booths, the concept of the pink police booths here in Delhi. Apparently, it has been found that even they are non-functional. The one of the major issues that is highlighted is the lack of the female police personnel, because these are to be handled by the women police personnel itself. So that indicates that state government should ensure to increase the strength of the police, especially the women police personnel, and increase the reach of such mechanisms which can be effective in preventing these instances. Apart from that, some changes are also required with respect to the infrastructure. The provision of the street lights, the CCTV cameras, even in the prisons where jail inmates, the women, they are also facing such kinds of harassment. So all these factors need to be taken into account if we actually want to bring change in the society and ensure the safety of the women in true essence.
So I think we should also focus on the point that there is a need for focus on the value-based education, right? And I think it should begin at home.
Yes, education of a child, it is not just meant the formal education which he is receiving in the schools or the colleges, the institutions. Rather, the first institution where he imbibes the values, that begins at home. So even within the families, the value-based education, it should be strengthened. And in the schools also, in the colleges also, there should be this emphasis on the value-based education, so that we can build a better society, we can raise better men in the society. So coming to that, I think apart from this, the issue of the women's safety during the transportation while they're commuting, that should also be taken into account.
Because according to one report, 56% of the women who take public transport, they have faced sexual crimes against themselves, right?
Yes, ma'am. And the women who are not working, so they mostly prefer to travel for the shorter distances for any reason, for fetching their whatever necessary items are needed for the home. So generally they take the short trips and they prefer the public transportation. Okay. Apparently in India, during the off-peak hours when these women step out, the public transportation facility is also lesser at that time, and the availability of the rickshaws or the e-rickshaws is there, or the cabs is there, but these women, 90% of the women, they fear stepping out of home. Also, especially this issue is more serious where the areas are deserted. Now the timings also matter when they're stepping out. So even when there are so many issues which complicate the matter of the women's safety, so taking into account the all factors when we frame the policies or ensure the mechanisms, the accountability mechanisms is very necessary. While I was talking, I was emphasizing about the importance of the holistic policies and the support system for such women. So government has taken that into account. It has established the one-stop centers. So one-stop centers, they are meant to provide a comprehensive support system to the victims of the physical violence or any kind of abuse. So they are provided the psycho-counseling also, the legal aid which they need, the police facilitation also, even the temporary shelter. So these integrated support systems do exist. Apparently women are not aware. Again, the relevance here is on increasing the awareness regarding all these mechanisms and also ensuring that they are functional on ground.
Okay. So one recent policy measure has also been explored in the UK government, wherein they have decided to treat extreme misogyny as a form of extremism, and they will treat the perpetrator as the terrorist. So this is something I think which should be explored in India as well. Right.
Yes, the international best practices
should be followed.
They should be taken into account by the Indian government also while framing the policies. So apart from that, the case of the only women public transport system which is there in Dubai, that has ensured Dubai's high rank in the city safety index. So this was a study by Insure My Trip. It has ranked Dubai as the third most safest city for the women solo travelers. So that owes to the law and order system there, taking into account the women's safety, the deterrence which is stronger there. And apart from that, the women only facilities which they have been providing. India can learn from that, and we have also been learning. In the Delhi metro itself, we do have the only women section. So these only women buses, the only women cabs, they should also be promoted in a country like India.
So we have analyzed this topic holistically, keeping in mind all the loopholes which are there and the fixes required. We need to remember sexual assault against a woman is an attack on her dignity and a violation of a fundamental right under Article 21. What we require is a change in society, a change in political system and a change in economic system. And only that can be considered as true independence and a sense of development. Thank you.
Thank you.